My dear students of 11th Medical, and today in your botany we are going to discuss water movement of a plant, and subsequently we will have to discuss the root pressure and the transpiration. And previously we noticed that the water gets absorbed by the root hairs of the roots, which have a delicate membrane, and the water diffuses into the root cell and these root hair cells, and subsequently it gets transferred to or transported to the xylem vessels, wherein the xylem becomes the carrier of the water. From here the water moves through the xylem and reaches to every nook and corner of the plant. How this goal is achieved, and that we have to discuss today, how water moves up a plant. And now plants absorb water from the soil, that we know, and move it into the vascular tissues. We now have to try and understand how this water is transported to various parts of the plant. Is the water movement active or still passive? Since the water has to be moved up a stem against the gravity, what provides the energy for the water to be taken up to the tall trees and to decent heights from the ground level or from the soil level, from the root level to the to the upper parts of the plant above ground? And firstly, what is responsible for the movement of this water is the root pressure. Various ions from the soil are actively transported into the vascular tissues of the roots along with water, and water follows its potential gradient. That means water moves from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential and increases the pressure inside the xylem. This positive pressure is called the root pressure and can be responsible for pushing water up to small heights in the stem. Now, how can we see that the root pressure exists? We can choose a small, soft-stemmed plant, and on a day when there is plenty of atmospheric moisture, cut the stem horizontally near the base with a sharp blade. Early in the morning, you will soon see drops of the solution ooze out of the cut stem. This comes out due to the positive root pressure. If we fix a rubber tube to the cut stem as a sleeve, it is seen that actually we can collect and measure the rate of exudation and also determine the composition of the exudates, whatever is exuded from that part of the stem, cut part of the stem. Effects of the root pressure is also observable at a height and early morning when evaporation is low and excess water collects in the form of droplets around special openings of the veins near the tips of the grass blades and leaves of many herbaceous plants. Such water loss in its liquid phase is known as guttation. A root pressure can at best only provide a modest push in the overall process of water transport. They obviously do not play a major role in water movement up tall trees. The greatest contribution of the root pressure may be to re-establish the continuous chains of the water molecules in the xylem, which often breaks under the enormous tension created by transpiration. This is the main mechanism. Now we have to discuss it. Now the root pressure does not account for the majority of the water transport, and most plants meet their need by a process, and that is called as the transpiration pull. This transpiration pull, despite the absence of a heart or circulatory system in the plants, it means that circulatory system is lacking in the plants. Plants do not have a circulatory system. And what carries the function of circulation in the plants? The flow of the water upwards through the xylem in the plants can achieve fairly high rates. It can be up to 15 meter per hour. How is this movement accomplished? A long-standing question is whether water is pushed or pulled through the plant. Most researchers agree that water is mainly pulled through the plant and that the driving force of this process is the transpiration from the leaves. This is referred to as the cohesion tension transpiration pull model of water transport. Again, this is referred to as or known as the cohesion tension transpiration pull model of the water transport. But what generates the transpiration pull? Water is transient in the plants. It is always flowing from cell to cell upwards from roots to the tall trees. Less than 1% of the water reaching the leaves is used in the photosynthesis and the plant growth. Again, less than 1% of the water is used in photosynthesis and plant growth. Most of it is lost through the stomata in the leaves. This water loss is known as transpiration. I studied transpiration in an earlier class by enclosing a healthy plant in polythene bag and observing the droplets of water from inside the bag, and it could be easily we can study water loss from a leaf using cobalt chloride paper, which turns color on absorbing water. This is in general, this creates the transpiration pull that pulls the water beneath, and the water ultimately reaches the tall heights of the plants. Thanks. Have a nice day.